The much anticipated return of Luka Doncic to the AAC is finally here, and if returning to the team that traded him in mid-season wasn't enough to fire him up, Luka got ejected in Tuesday night's loss against OKC. So despite, as he said, not agreeing with that call, the Lakers and Luka look ahead to Dallas, where number 77 admits there's a lot of emotions.
No, of course, there's going to be a lot of emotion for me. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know how I'm gonna feel, honestly. I'm looking forward to being back in Dallas, obviously. With the fans, seeing my teammates, ex-teammates. It's gonna be very emotional for me, for sure.
And with the loss to OKC on Tuesday, the Lakers are now in a situation where they have to win 2 of their final 3 games, and it starts in Dallas. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis, who was acquired in this trade and expected to be a leader of this team, also coming in with a lot of pressure. So I asked some Los Angeles media members who've been around the Lakers for quite some time, who has more pressure come Wednesday night? Is it Anthony Davis or Luka Doncic? Obviously, you've been around Luka for this last 2.5 months-ish. What's it been like seeing him kind of adjust to LA, the Lakers, and what they're all about?
It's been a process. Luka's spoken on it multiple times in terms of it's going to take time for him to really adjust after being in Dallas for 6.5 seasons. But it's almost like every week or every couple weeks we feel Luka open up more. Luka seems to be more of himself, not just around his teammates and around his coaches, but around the media as well. So it seems like slowly but surely he's becoming more comfortable, not just being a Laker, not just being away from Dallas, just overall the overall change that he's had to go through over these last 2+ months.
What was your initial response, just the trade in general? Did you believe it when you saw it?
What in the world just happened? Is this real? He had to be hacked. No, it was a lot of different. It was a whirlwind of a night. It was the Lakers had just beaten the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden February 1st, and you're thinking without Anthony Davis, and you're thinking, and at least for me, this is one of the most impressive wins of the season. They're riding a high right now. This is unbelievable. And then next thing you know, it gets taken to a whole different level from what in the world happened? You thought the game was enough of a whirlwind? Well, guess what? Now adding Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis out the door. And since that moment for the next 12, 24 hours, and honestly beyond, it was one of those, I can't believe this just happened. It would continue to be, I can't believe this just happened. Even when he debuted on February 10th against the Utah Jazz at home, I still couldn't believe it. So it was one of those just unbelievable feelings and unbelievable moments that it took a while to really just believe and to really actually contextualize that happened.
You brought up AD, so I ask you, who has more to prove come Wednesday night? Do you feel like is it Luka or is it AD? Who's this game bigger for?
I think it's Luka. I think the game is bigger for Luka just because it's his return to what he called home for 6.5 years, what he believed would be his home for at least the entirety of his NBA career. So for Luka, regardless of who scores more points, more rebounds, more assists, just emotionally, sentimentally, I think this game means more for him. Going back to a place that he thought he would spend his entire career with, and next thing you know, just like that, he's a Los Angeles Laker. So just emotionally, I think there's going to be emotions for him compared to Anthony Davis, who, yes, this is a big game for him. His first time playing against his former team, the team he won a championship against. But it'd be different if we were in LA. We're in Dallas. And because we're in Dallas, this is a bigger game just for Luka emotionally, mentally, all that goes into it.
Now, Luka is known for showing his facial expressions to the opposite side. He did it tonight with the fans. He goes out of the game early. Do you think he's going to have a little bit of extra chip on his shoulder going back to his home, and he was fouled out, or not fouled out, tonight?
I can't imagine the chip on his shoulder would be any bigger going into tomorrow's game, going into the game against Dallas, just because of the nature of how that exit happened, being traded. Superstars of his caliber, they do not get traded without at least asking for the trade in the first place. So I would imagine, especially with all that was said about him from Dallas' side post-trade, I can't imagine the chip being any bigger. But yeah, being ejected, I believe he said it himself just now, for the first time in his career in a big marquee matchup that, the game against the Thunder was supposed to be. Yes, I would imagine that chip, even though it was maybe the size of his entire shoulder, somehow got maybe just another inch or two bigger.
Luka's been there now for just over 2 months. Just tell me a little bit, what have you seen from him health-wise? Because that was a big reason why skepticism of why he's not here anymore.
Yeah, the big thing was his conditioning, and obviously he was injured at the time of the trade, but since then he missed a few games, then came back and has been playing at, I think, an all NBA level since he's been healthy-ish. Took him a few games to get into a bit of a rhythm, but we saw here last game, he was picking apart the Thunder defense. He's had some big games against the Nuggets and the Celtics, and so I think he's looking like Luka to me, and I think he's elevated the Lakers championship or ceiling to a championship level.
Now, AD is known for his defense. That was one of the things that attracted Nico for him to come over and help out the Mavs. What have you seen from Luka defensively, how he's fitting into this defensive team for the Lakers?
I think he's fit in better than I expected. Obviously, he's not a stopper by any means, and we've seen like the Golden State Warriors were just targeting him, and teams will try to test him defensively. But I think his size, his positioning, he's actually among the league leaders in steals. So he's actually really good with deflections and playing the passing lanes. So I think he's more of like a team defender, more of a smart defender in that sense. But obviously he's not Anthony Davis, so that's been like the trade-off for LA.
How exciting has it been for the media, the fans, to see that Luka LeBron duo out there? And it seems like every game it's just been getting a little bit stronger.
There's always some highlight in transition, so we've seen them connect with the baseball passes, the alley-oops. It's been fun. Personally, like seeing Luka there, and he was one of my favorite players to watch even before the trade. Now getting to see him on a daily basis, you just see the type of basketball genius that he is. So I think, again, like the Lakers are to me, a top 5, if not maybe top 4 team in the league, and they have a real shot to go on a deep playoff run now.
LeBron's the current franchise face of that Lakers team. He leads the team. That is what people know. But now that Luka is there, how have you seen him kind of mix in with, yes, he's the star, but there's another star there?
Yeah, I think LeBron has shared the spotlight well. So the first game, LeBron's typically the one that's introduced last in starting lineups, and he let Luka have that moment, be the last guy to be introduced. And you've just seen little things of him bigging up Luka and just talking about how great he is. And like he said, even before the trade, he said he was his favorite player to watch in the league. So like that's just the bromance has been there, but between those two. So I think Luka's favorite player growing up was LeBron. He idolized him. LeBron loves Luka, and you've seen that connection just continue to form on the court.
Now, when it comes to Wednesday night, obviously it's the first time Luka's returning back to the AAC since everything's happened. Now, Jason Kidd, Anthony Davis are saying this is just another game, but they know, exactly, they know that, there's going to be a lot of emotions for him, Luka. How have you seen him answering that question in your guys' media room?
So we have not talked to him yet, and I assume tonight he will speak about what it's like to go back to Dallas. But he was transparent when Dallas came to LA back in February that like he was not over the trade. I have a story coming out in The Athletic where I talked to him about it, and he's saying like he's finally starting to feel like a Laker. So this has been an acclimating process for him, and it's taken some time. But I feel like now, a couple months removed, he is feeling like more of a Laker. He found a place to live. He's got his routines, he's got his trainers. However, I think going back to Dallas is going to obviously bring back a certain level of emotion, and it will be a wild environment because typically when someone leaves, it's on bad terms between them and the fan base, but he's coming back to, I think, adoration and love from the fan base. So I think they're going to be like celebrating him, but it's going to be a weird vibe, so I'm interested to see how that goes.
Who do you think this game is bigger for to prove something, if you will? When you're looking at AD, the person who seems like the fans were very, not necessarily to him, but they lost their franchise player. So who do you think this game is maybe bigger for come Wednesday night?
I think it's bigger for Dallas, to be honest. I think for the Lakers, like they just need 2 more wins to lock in the 3 seed, so that's their goal here over the final 4 games. But I mean, I think they want to win it for Luka, so certainly I'm not downplaying it from the LA side. But for Dallas, based on all the flack that they've taken, some people have called this the worst trade in sports. So when you have like that bar that you're trying to clear, I think them winning it and AD having a great game and kind of showing the Lakers what they're missing without him, I think that would go a ways for the Mavericks organization and even some Mavericks fans kind of getting over the trade a little bit. But regardless, I think, of course, long-term, Mavericks fans are going to be dealing with this for a while.
Reporting from Oklahoma City, Briana Aldridge, CBS Sports Texas.